Before slap bass was a flex, before funk was mapped out on the charts, two brothers from Los Angeles brought the groove that changed everything. George and Louis Johnson didn't just play funk, they were funk. With hits like I'll Be Good to You, Strawberry Letter 23, and Stomp, they turned family chemistry into global rhythm. George and Louis grew up in Los Angeles in a household filled with music. Their mother played piano, their father loved spinning records, and the kids soaked it all in. George picked up the guitar, studying jazz greats like Wes Montgomery. Louis, younger but bold, grabbed a bass and never let it go. Even before his teens, he was already experimenting with a slap style that would later shake the foundations of funk. Together, they formed a family group, Johnson 3+1, playing local shows and school dances. It was there they learned to perform, to sync with each other, and to bring raw energy to an audience. The chemistry was natural. George's smooth guitar licks and Louis' heavy bass lines fit like puzzle pieces. By the early 70s, their talent was undeniable. They played with Billy Preston, Bobby Womack, and other greats, quickly gaining a reputation as young players with serious chops. That reputation led to the moment that changed everything: Quincy Jones. Quincy invited them to play on his 1975 album Mellow Madness, and they didn't just show up, they stood out. Impressed by their ability to write, play, and sing, Quincy helped them land a deal with A&M Records. The Brothers Johnson were officially born. Their debut album Look Out for Number 1, released in 1976, was a hit. Produced by Quincy Jones, it delivered I'll Be Good to You, a track that shot to the top of the R&B charts. Suddenly, they weren't sidemen, they were stars. And this was only the beginning. The follow-up albums came quickly. Right on Time in 1977 gave us Strawberry Letter 23, a psychedelic funk masterpiece, originally written by Shuggie Otis but transformed into pure Johnson magic. With George's bright guitar, Louis's thunderous bass, and Quincy's polish, it became a crossover smash. Then came Blam in 1978, with jams like Ain't We Funkin' Now and Light Up the Night in 1980, featuring Stomp, the ultimate disco-funk anthem. From radio to dance floors around the globe, the Brothers Johnson owned the groove. At the heart of it all was Louis Thunder Thumbs Johnson. His slap bass technique didn't just support the rhythm, it drove it. He turned the bass into a lead instrument, influencing everyone from Bootsy Collins to Flea. His reputation grew so large that when Quincy was producing Michael Jackson's Off the Wall and Thriller, he called Louis. That iconic Billie Jean bass line? That's Louis Johnson. His fingerprints are all over the best-selling album of all time. George was no less important. His guitar gave structure, rhythm, and shine. While Louis exploded on bass, George's playing kept the music tight and smooth. Together, they created a balance that no studio could fake. But success doesn't always last forever. By the mid-1980s, the industry was shifting. Funk and disco were fading from the charts, and creative tensions pulled the brothers apart. They pursued solo projects, Louis as a sought-after session player and teacher, George as a live performer and recording artist. They reunited occasionally, but the height of their chart dominance had passed. Still, their legacy didn't fade. Hip-hop producers rediscovered their records, sampling their grooves for new audiences. Funk revivalists studied Louis' slap technique. Their songs kept popping up in films, commercials, and playlists. They had carved their sound so deeply into music that it couldn't be erased. In 2015, Louis Johnson passed away at just 60 years old. The music world lost one of its greatest bassists, but his influence remains alive every time someone slaps a bass string or nods their head to one of those timeless grooves. George continues to keep the Brothers Johnson spirit alive, performing and reminding fans that the funk never dies. The Brothers Johnson gave us music that moves not just our ears, but our bodies. They turned family rhythm into universal joy. From Los Angeles garages to sold-out world tours, from funk stages to Michael Jackson's Thriller, their fingerprints are everywhere. They didn't just play hits, they defined a sound. And decades later, their songs still make people dance. Their grooves still inspire musicians. Their story still matters. Because funk isn't a trend, funk is a force. And the Brothers Johnson will always be part of that force. If you caught yourself nodding to this story, if you felt the groove, if you want more soul re-ups like this, do us a favor. Hit that like button, slap Slap that subscribe and keep that funk alive.